Hey everybody, it's JJ Talks, and it's Thursday on the Breakfast Club. And today I wanted to talk about something I've been kind of thinking about for a while, and that's the line between beating up a douchebag and political violence. And this sounds like very aggressive, but I've noticed that a lot of my friends, including Sarge, my significant other, are have expressed that they are cool with like beating someone up if they're acting like a douche, or I know Sarge has gotten in many fights in his life, but are very, very against political violence, and to some extent, I understand, that line, that difference there, but on the other hand, there's so much blur and so much overlap that I find it a little bit hypocritical and ironic for this type of people, this group of people, to claim that, political violence is so wrong. Since politics often overlaps into our personal life quite frequently, So, I get the sentiment is that, if you have this political belief, you want this law to get passed or whatever, you shouldn't go be violent about it. But, again, these are often the same people who have told me grandiose stories about how they've, gotten into fights and stuff. And I'm like, well, where's that line? Because, so say I'm hanging out with my friend who's black, and somebody comes up and calls them the N-word, I would fucking punch them. I would, throw down with them. And this is coming from a 5-foot tall girl, so, maybe it's a different coming from me, but, if someone was coming up to my friend, and saying the N-word, calling them racial slurs, yeah, I'd fucking beat the shit out of them. But and to me, that's not political. To me, that's you're harassing my friend and being a douchebag. Fuck you, you need your ass beat. It's not I am opposed to your free speech and therefore I am going to use violence to suppress it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of difficult because we've gotten into this era where we've got you got the Antifa inciting riots and stuff on the left, and you've got the alt-right on the right, and then there's the majority of the other people who are in the middle, and the one thing that these two sides have in common is, violence and aggression, and it's very easy to say, you shouldn't be violent, you shouldn't express your opinion violently, and, when it comes to Antifa, they're you can't suppress people's free speech with violence, but again, it comes down to this, a line, what is political and what is personal, you know what I mean? See, I'm super pro free speech. That's it's something that's gotten me in a lot of trouble with the left. Sometimes is that even though I am very, very liberal, very, very feminist, I'm also very, very pro free speech, and that's for a whole other conversation. Maybe I'll make a different video about that. But I don't consider myself someone who wants to suppress someone else's free speech. But again, if someone was coming up to my friend and calling them the N-word, that's not gonna happen. There's gonna be a confrontation there, and that's not, to me, that's not political. To me, that's personal. And so it's something to consider, especially when it comes to minority groups and the LGBT community, because although their existence is completely personal to them, your sexuality and who you're dating, that is so personal, their lives have also been so politicized that it's hard to make that distinction. It's hard to make that separation. If someone's coming up to my gay friend, calling them slurs, I would probably do the same thing, And to me, it's not a political thing. To me, it's a completely personal thing. But it's kind of confusing because, again, we've politicized people's lives so much that that this distinction becomes very difficult to make. And it makes me feel very frustrated for minority communities because their lives have been so politicized that they have difficulty, protecting themselves in a completely personal way. If I were to go out to a bar with Sarge, and some guy were to come up to me and start calling me like a whore and a bitch and blah blah blah, and, you know, screaming at me, I'm sure Sarge would beat the shit out of them, you know, and no one would put that on the news and be like, oh, it's liberal violence, you know what I mean? Because it's like, man, no, he's sticking up for his girlfriend, like this guy was being an asshole, whatever. But if a gay couple were to do the same thing because they're being called, you know, slurs, or any ethnic minority, you know, were to do the same thing because someone's harassing them using, you know, like the N-word and like faggot and stuff, it would be all over the media. It'd be like, oh, these, you know, gay people are using violence to push their agenda on other people and blah blah blah. And it's just like, I don't know. It's frustrating to me because it's like, well, they're defending themselves in the same way that, like, you know, my significant other might defend me, but when they do it, it gets all over the news because their lives have been so politicized again that politics and, you know, personal life, relationships, family are inherently intertwined and overlap significantly. And that seems a little bit unfair to claim that, you know, these people are violent or trying to suppress people's free speech with violence, when really they're just defending themselves in the way that anyone else would. But because they're a minority, and because they're the subject of this left-right blah 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 blah, it's put on a pedestal and sensationalized. It's, I don't know, just something that I've been thinking about. And if you have any thoughts on this, I'd really appreciate it because it's stressing me out. But it's something I've been thinking of for a long time, because I know a lot of my friends on the internet who are all like, no violence in politics, are definitely the kind of people who would get in a fight with somebody if they were out drinking, you know. So that's all, and I would love to hear what you guys have to say, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!